Welcome back to Nexor React. Plug yourselves in. We're going into the simulation again.
We have to get to the idea of magic, because what's the old saying? We practice religion, they practice magic. The Catholic Mass is pretty magical. Magic is religion for the individual, and religion is magic for the masses. I agree with Gordon White. He says magic is being a co-creator with the universe. There was a part, every religion, where there's one side who just wants to do the rituals, go to church on Sunday, and then just hope I'll be fine in the afterlife. But there's always those who have this thirst to look behind the veil and rise through the different worlds and make contact with these higher beings. But they had folk magic. You have Gnostic spells where there's healing spells, and it'll say, do this, take that, summon this creature, and you will be healed of whatever ailment you have. But that's been pretty normal in animism, occultism throughout history.
What an interesting way to put it. Religion is magic for the masses. I've never heard that said before, and it's quite compelling when you think about it. I have an interesting opinion on religion, so I have no problem with faith or belief, but I don't really understand why we need to have religion, which is created by other humans, instructing people on how to practice their faith based on man-made rules. I think people should be allowed to practice their faith in whatever way they feel helps them feel better connected to whatever deity or spirituality that they are seeking. Whatever makes you feel whole, whatever gives you peace and hope, religion isn't for me.
So they found a whale skeleton in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and they don't really know how it got there. Well, they actually found more than one. As a matter of fact, close to 1,000 whale skeletons were uncovered in this part of the desert, first found in 1902, with a near-perfect skeleton, almost fully intact, discovered as recently as 2016. Some claim it may be an indicator of a certain lost civilization that got swept by the sea. Because about 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, science shows the entire Sahara Desert was actually a luscious green oasis, and even hosted what would be the largest lake in the world, known as Lake Megachad. Yeah, really, that's what it's called, and it was bigger and deeper than any other lake on Earth. Except, last I checked, whales don't really live in lakes. Even the biggest lake in the world, the Caspian Sea, which, yes, it's called a sea, but it's technically considered the world's largest lake, has no whales. Oceans have whales. But the only way they could have ever reached this far inland into the Sahara where their bones were found is if the area was completely submerged by the ocean. Which is exactly what would have happened if something like, I don't know, worldwide cataclysms that reset civilization and flooded kingdoms like Atlantis went down. But I don't know, it's just a theory. The Sahara Desert is one of the least studied places on Earth due to its harsh climate and politically unstable regions. This area in particular has come to be known as Wadi al-Hitan, the Valley of the Whales, located in Egypt, and may hold many other secrets that are going to take decades to uncover. But the real craziest part is that scientists claim this green Sahara 5,000 years ago was just the most recent out of over 200 green periods the desert's been through over the past couple million years, meaning it's statistically inevitable that a green Sahara Desert will happen again.
As we've said before in previous videos, there just seems to be more and more evidence mounting up to support the idea that there was some kind of great cataclysmic event, such as a flood, which reset humanity and civilization as we know it. I'm sure there is far more to discover beneath those sands as well. I remember seeing a clip or a piece of footage a little while ago where a man was investigating some area of that desert and they found sulfur balls embedded in the cliff walls, which is very compelling. Do your own research. Let me know what you think about all this.
The intriguing aspect of these accounts is their occurrence across different regions and among various explorers. While the possibility of exaggeration and the influence of the era's perceptions cannot be discounted, the consistency and specificity of these descriptions across independent sources suggests that they may be more than mere fabrications or myths. They open up the possibility that during a time when the world was still being mapped and understood, encounters with isolated groups of unusually tall beings could have occurred, leaving an indelible mark on the tales of the age of exploration. The possibility that these accounts represent real encounters is bolstered by several factors. Firstly, the explorers who documented these encounters were often seasoned travelers known for their observational skills. Their descriptions were usually detailed and specific, suggesting an attempt at accurate reporting rather than the creation of fanciful tales. Secondly, the fact that similar accounts of giant encounters come from different explorers, often independent of one another and hailing from various European nations, suggests a pattern that is hard to dismiss as mere coincidence or fabrication. The consistency in these accounts across time and geography lends them a certain degree of credibility. In conclusion, the chronicles of encounters with giants during the Age of Exploration, while certainly extraordinary, are grounded in enough consistency and detail to warrant consideration.
More there to support the idea that there was once giants. Why is it so hard to find the truth out about that? Like, why does it matter so much to whoever is the authority that we do not know explicitly and definitively that giants were once around? Why is it such a big problem? What secrets does that knowledge hold about our true past?
A powerful surge of monsoon rains has caused severe flash flooding in the Grand Canyon, leaving over 200 people stranded in and around the Havasupai Falls area. The sudden downpour transformed serene hiking trails and campsites into dangerous torrents, catching many visitors and local residents off guard. In response to the emergency, the Arizona National Guard launched a swift and coordinated rescue operation. Utilizing Black Hawk helicopters, rescue teams worked tirelessly to airlift more than 100 individuals to safety. Among those rescued were tourists from across the country and members of the Havasupai tribe, who call this region home. Footage from the rescue operations showcases the daunting conditions faced by both the stranded individuals and the rescuers. Rapidly rising waters and debris made navigation extremely challenging, but the skill and dedication of the rescue teams ensured that evacuations were carried out efficiently and without serious injury. The Havasupai Tribal Council has reported extensive damage to key infrastructure within the region. The popular Supai Falls campground has been particularly hard hit, with many facilities submerged or washed away by the relentless floodwaters. Additionally, several trails leading to and from the falls have been rendered impassable due to erosion and debris. Local authorities are also issuing warnings about the potential for additional flooding as monsoon season continues. Hikers and travelers planning to visit the Grand Canyon region are advised to stay updated on weather conditions and heed all safety advisories and closures issued by officials. Stay tuned to Above the Norm News for ongoing coverage of the Grand Canyon flooding and other developing stories. We'll continue to bring you the latest updates and information as recovery efforts progress.
So that is the second natural disaster that we've heard of in national parks in America within the last month or so, because we had that geyser which caused tremendous damage to the boardwalk which went past it. Seems like things are starting to shake up with the planet. Weather is getting crazier, earthquakes, we've got stuff falling out of the sky. Why do you think all of this stuff is happening all at once? Or has it always been like this and there's just more reporting taking place and bringing us awareness of these events? Let me know in the comments below what you think.
Yeah, well, this is the most terrifying true event that you'll ever hear about. I've seen a lot of these videos popping up on my For You page the last few days and a lot of you guys tagging me in them. So what the hell is going on here? This is 100% true. Stranger Things was actually based on this place, the Montauk facility, and the show was also nearly named Montauk before being called Stranger Things. Theories and questions about the Montauk facility has been circulating around since the 1980s. Basically, people noticed a strange satellite went up at this facility, and after this, apparently people living in the nearby neighborhood experienced very vivid dreams and hallucinations and thought something strange was going on, as well as hearing strange noises coming from within this facility. Now it gets far crazier again because a whistleblower actually came out and said that they were trialing mind control, teleportation and many other things inside this facility, and it even went as far to say that apparently some kind of gateway was opened and something came through it. I'm not sure what I think of that bit, but let me know your thoughts. Now there was many newspaper reports and other things coming out about this place in the 70s and 80s, and the place was shut down in 1982 after, well, a lot of strange things had been going on, and now it is completely shut off to the public, but all the buildings are still there. But it's pretty terrifying because what the hell happened here?
Well, that's a new one to me. Had no idea that Stranger Things was based on some real project which took place. We know that there have been many projects within the US military and various departments of the US government which have involved things like astral projection. There were those documents released explaining the process and how to do it. As far as a gate opening up to another dimension and something coming through it though, I feel like if something could do that, it would have done it of its own accord anyway. I don't think we need to intervene to allow something like that to come through. I think it will just do it.
Have you ever heard of the story of Gilgamesh? The story was written 2000 BC. The story talks about how he was 2/3 God and 1/3 man. The claim was that he was 17 feet tall.
Oh man.
And he was this brutal king, like a tyrant. But the story goes that he was buried under the Euphrates River.
That's drying up.
Well, here's the thing. In 2003, archaeologist by the name of Jörg Fassbinder, he was in the Mesopotamia area doing like the whole LiDAR thing. And what he said is, I have found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Oh my gosh.
But it's underground, right? So they have to like dig it up. Guess what happened 1 month later?
Earthquake.
The U.S. invades Iraq.
Oh my gosh!
No way!
This is where it gets crazy.
Yeah.
All the archaeological sites were then stopped in Iraq, so stop digging, you're out of here. And the U.S. military set up an encampment around the tomb site. But the locals around this encampment reported that the U.S. military were digging at night, taking things out of the ground, and putting them onto trucks and driving them off.
We're villains.
We are Dr. Evil.
Is that not, I mean...
That's crazy. Where'd you learn this?
A bunch of...
This information is not suitable for the viewing public. The government is here to protect you.
I was going to say, with the way they asked at the end is, how do you know this? Where did you get this from? Without providing a source and giving people the opportunity to investigate these things themselves, it's quite hard to know whether to believe it or not. It's certainly a captivating story, and it's compelling enough to make you want to go and do your own research into this. You provided some names though, which is nice. Google that name, see what comes up. Is there anything legitimate about this story? Let me know in the comments below.
The moon map of Earth suggests that the moon is a reflection of all of Earth's surfaces, showing 1/4 of it being where we live. A 1964 newspaper article shows moon, mirage, reflection of Earth's surface. So I was talking to my astronomer buddy, David Shane, and he says he gets really close on the moon with his telescope, and sometimes it appears to look like ice. Then he persists to tell me about this scientific concept that water can hold memory. And sometimes water, when frozen into ice, it will show the image that that water was reflecting before it was frozen. So then I found this. There's these scientists, they drop some flowers down into water and then examine the drops of that water under a microscope, and they see images of the flower. Check this out.
A while later we took a drop of water, and here you can see one of the pictures. And you can see it in this picture. It's the typical image you get when you put a flower into water. You could recognize the flower in every single drop in this glass, of course. That can be reproduced and has significance. And if you were to put a different flower in here, for example, a Sweet William flower, then all the drops of this water would look like Sweet William.
Wait, what? Then honestly, it makes a lot of sense that the moon would be a reflection of all the land of Earth. Now we're all just throwing theories around here, but man, come on. Lines up.
Is that man suggesting that the moon is made of water? Or is it because of the flat earthers' belief that beyond the firmament is just a vast body of water and that the moon sits behind that body of water? Interesting nonetheless. Let me know what you think below. Do you believe in any of this, or is it all just made up nonsense to you?
Disney absolutely loves to change details for their movies, but let's talk about the real Pocahontas. For starters, her name is not Pocahontas. At birth she was named Amanute, later in life she was called Matoaka, but Pocahontas was just a nickname. It literally means the playful one. In the movie, it's all about the establishment of Jamestown, and John Smith is Pocahontas' love interest, when in reality, Pocahontas was not a young woman. She was actually 10 or 11 years old. Now, most people know the story where Pocahontas saved John Smith from death. This started their great love, but there's actually not a lot of historical evidence that this ever happened. Most historians believe it didn't. The earliest record that we have of the incident was actually written by John Smith. Now, he is famous for really making himself look good and overstating his contributions in Jamestown. In his record, he talks about Pocahontas' affection for him. Interesting, he's like, dude, she was into me. And he never describes any threat of execution in his earliest record. Now, Pocahontas goes on to become famous, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it was only after she died and was incredibly famous that this story came out in his journal. I'm sure it happened. But if this did happen, he was around 28 at the time, and she's estimated to be anywhere from 10 to 13. Yeah, she was into him. What wasn't talked about in the Disney movie is the fact that Pocahontas was married to a member of her tribe. Now, there isn't 100% consensus on whether this is true because, as I said before, Pocahontas was just a nickname. Some historians believe it was actually one of her sisters that was married to a member of the tribe. Others believe it was her. During the First Anglo-Powhatan War, she was taken captive. During that time, they taught her English, they made her read the Bible, she converted to Christianity, they changed her name to Rebecca. This man, John Rolfe, fell in love with her. He wrote to the governor for permission, he expressed his love for her, and also expressed the fact that he would be saving her soul through the institution of Christian marriage. She was 17 or 18 years old when she was married, she had a son with him. Then they essentially sent her to England to show everybody this symbol of this tamed New World savage. She was essentially show-ponied around. People loved her story because it romanticized the whole taming of this savagery of these groups. And then in 1617, she boarded a ship to go back home, got sick, and passed away. Now, it's important to know that there's very few surviving records of Pocahontas, and none of them were written by her. And with time, her story repeatedly became more and more romanticized. This successful Christian conversion, this successful assimilation of one culture into another. Nothing terrible was happening. It was beautiful. It was amazing. One thing is for sure, though, the story of Pocahontas has captivated audiences for hundreds and hundreds of years. Oral traditions and written accounts often oppose each other. I honestly wish there was more out there to learn.
Just more evidence to support that you should not trust the dramatizations of historical stories, and do your own research to find out what actually happened and what is just being exaggerated for the purposes of entertainment, or made up entirely.
Are we alone? Well, the answer is we're not alone. And I know with 100% certainty
the United States government are in possession not only of non-human technology, craft, and other technology, they're also in possession of alien bodies.
How many of them we're talking about? There is a variety, and we have a certain number of different things, but the total numbers of what's interacting with us on Earth, I mean, nobody knows.
Incredible as it may seem, Roswell was true. Have presidents been lied to by executive officials in the US government?
They were always out there. You know, they were out there when we took off, we'd see them, and then we'd go to land, they would still be out there.
Like every day?
Every day.
Every day.
Between 2004 and 2021, 11 near misses occurred involving UAPs that required pilot action and follow-up reports.
We were primarily seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere.
Do you think that all of this UAP information which is being propagated by the American government now, and all these scenes which are being made about it, are to build a new type of desensitization to the subject in preparation for some kind of unusual event propagated by the global governments of the world? Or do you think it's what they say it is, and it's just this thing which is being intentionally ignored because they just don't have enough information about it to know how to deal with it, so they just kind of brush it under the carpet? I think there's something more nefarious going on here, and it's got nothing to do with aliens. That's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts below.
Did y'all just see what California passed? The news today does not even feel real, but it's very real. Gonna source it because you're not even gonna believe me, and what's happening in Canada is even crazier. How? I don't know. California Senate just passed a bill giving $150,000 down payment assistance for these people. Dude, people cannot even live right now. Things are double priced since 2020. Quite literally, go to Walmart and you'll see that. Look at your insurance and you'll see it. Look at anything and you'll see that. The figures they're giving us from 3 to 7% are bullcrap. Anyways, Governor Gavin Newsom has yet to commit to sign the bill, but I'm sure he will. Talk about incentives. I mean, honestly, I don't even know why you would still live in California. There's literally a feces map. Yes, that's what all that is. By the way, the reason it's so hazy outside and way worse than ever before in recorded history is because the corn is sweating. They say it's just getting very much worse. Now to what Canada's doing. It's so bad I cannot even show you guys on this app. This is a vending machine for very bad things. And they're literally out of items. Items that are against the law, do you get it? No wonder Canada stopped letting news on social media. Head to the emergency room and pick up your kit now.
Outside the Nanaimo Hospital, and I was able to get a ventilation kit and unfortunately the crowds were out.
I'm not sure how much I can really say on this subject, so I'm not going to say anything on it, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
For someone who is completely convinced by the military explanation that all UFO reports can be either put down to fantasy, natural phenomena, or a sighting of some or other military experimental aircraft, I would just remind them of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports over recent years of a massive black triangular aircraft that is reportedly the size of a football pitch.
On one occasion, Belgian Air Force fighters intercepted these triangular UFOs, and one of them jumped, I think, the space of 2,000 meters in less than a second. So quite clearly we were dealing with very advanced technology here. In Belgium, there were about 2,000 reports between 1989 and 1990. Increasingly, here in England, we've been getting reports of the so-called flying triangles.
Behind me now is a good portion of Salisbury Plain, which is pretty much the home of the British Army's training land. There have been a number of sightings across Salisbury Plain, a number of sightings, a number of reports. I received a letter from Mark, who's an ex-British soldier. One night during the winter of 1989-1990, he'd been out on night manoeuvres on Salisbury Plain.
So basically all it was about 4K march.
Mark, a former British soldier who was stationed near the Salisbury Plain, has asked that his identity be hidden and his voice disguised. He still fears reprisals from the British Defence Ministry.
So Mark would have been hiking across this open piece of land, and as he approached this copse here, this wooded area here,
We got to near the place where we were going to get picked up, and it's just off to our left.
and then suddenly this massive craft appearing as if out of nowhere.
And it was vast, great big, like triangular craft, and a very strong strobe light beaming down as if it was looking around for something.
And the next thing Mark can remember is a guy dressed all in black flying suits coming out of the copse, approaching the 6 soldiers, including Mark, holding this rod or prodding thing.
Felt like a sheep getting penned in with this like cone of light around us, like almost a buzzing feel about it to your body.
As he called it, bluish cone of light that eventually engulfed all 6 soldiers and kind of took over their minds.
Very frightening experience. It's like you got no control over it. Something's controlling you. You have no control over it at all.
As the soldiers sort of woke up from this nightmare experience, they found themselves 600 meters off course over in this direction, wondering where they were and how on earth they got there.
I still had this missing time, you know, which was making me pretty agitated. The feelings that go through my head is I was a guinea pig. I'm really angry about it.
I think that the black triangle craft that they are referring to is something known as the TR-3B. I don't know, let me know in the comments below if that's right. But I'm pretty sure the person who was having their voice distorted and their face obscured was the same guy with the earring, talking about all the story which the soldiers, the different accounts that they gave. Just my opinion. Let me know what you think. That just about does it for today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed the clips I've shown you. All very interesting stuff. If you have enjoyed the video, please drop a like on it and subscribe for future content. I upload a video every single day at 8 PM UK time. And if you want to carry on the conversation after the video ends, we have a Discord community, the link for which you can find in the description below. Take care, stay safe, and stay curious. Until next time.